This is my 81 Mustang with a 2004 Cobra engine. I've had a couple magazine editors call it a Foxinator, Fox body Mustang with a Terminator engine, so that's kind of the name that stuck with it. I recently did some mods that I'd like to go over with you. Back in June of 2010, decided to look at my manual transmission throwout bearing. I had a Viper T56. When we took it out, found that my clutch was worn out, just from putting about 607 rear wheel horsepower through it. Decided instead of going with the twin disc, I wanted to upgrade to an automatic. And at the same time, ended up taking on a couple other project ideas that I wanted to work on, since I was going to have to get the car retuned anyways. The biggest thing you see is I worked with a friend of mine named Damon Howard, and we built this custom sheet metal intake out of aluminum. I did all the cutting and piecing together. He did the welding. It mates my 2.4 liter Kenny Bell with a AccuFab twin 75mm GT throttle body. Over here you'll see this is where I redid the bypass valve. The bypass valve used to be underneath the inlet of the supercharger, but to make room I decided to reroute it. You can see down here that I built a little plate that mounts where the bypass valve would normally go. Ran some hoses and some fittings and relocated the bypass valve up on the side of the inlet. Down here I've made fittings for the vacuum lines. Still have some of the vacuum lines to hook up that have to go to some of the sensors that I've relocated. I also added an oil separator. Took at least a half a pint of oil out of the supercharger and the intercooler housing when I tore it apart, so I decided it was time to put on the oil separator. It mounts up the line from the PCV valve with the line that comes from underneath the blower through the oil separator and back into the inlet. Over here you see the twin 75mm throttle body. I've relocated the IAC motor up here. Back here you'll see this is the inlet, the rubber inlet adapter from a Ford GT supercar, and I'm running my line to the IAC valve off the side of it. Over here I had to get my 04 Cobra stock throttle cable modified, shortened with a special tip on it to mate up to the throttle linkage for the twin 75 throttle body. This 4.5-inch inlet tube is from a Kenny Bell Mammoth kit for an 03-04 Cobra, and it comes down underneath the fender to a Kenny Bell air filter from one of their Mammoth kits. And then, since I'm planning on running E85 ethanol, I've changed my 60-pound fuel injectors to Ford Racing 80-pound fuel injectors, with a stock fuel rail coming to a dash 8 line underneath the car. I brought the dash 8 line to mate up with the evap line that would normally run for the evap system. I actually have 2 evap lines under there. One was spare, so I cut the tips off and made it my fuel line. And it goes underneath the car back to the fuel tank, where I have twin GT supercar pumps, and a fuel hat a stock fuel hat that I modified so that each pump had its own outlet out of the tank, and those 2 dash 6 lines join into the dash 8. Each pump has its own separate fuel pump driver module and booster pump that are mounted in the rear of the car. This little fitting right here so that I can purge the gas tank, changing from 91 octane to ethanol. In order to get the inlet over here, I had to relocate my water box for the intercooler system right here, and then friend of mine named Ralph made a special plate to hold it up onto the fender. And then installing a Lentec strip Terminator 470W in place of my Viper T56. And it's got a torque converter from Ultimate Converter Concepts with about a 2700 stall. And to help keep it cool, mounted a trans cooler underneath the passenger side fender with a fan. It's got aluminum brackets that are holding it up inside, so it's solid and rigid. And then in order to get that to fit in there, I ended up relocating the water pump for the intercooler system, made some aluminum brackets to hold that in place so that I could have space to put the trans cooler. We'll go ahead and fire it up so that you can hear it. Once I get everything tidied up, we'll take it over to Adam Montague at ST Motorsports in San Bernardino, and he'll be tuning it for both 91 octane and E85 ethanol. And when we get that done, I'll post another video showing the numbers and how it performs. Thank you.